What do you say to those who claim you're using a 200-year-old law to circumvent due process?
An old law? Not as old as the Constitution. We still pay attention to that, don't we? Look at how it works for the Pope. He's got a wall around the Vatican, does he not? So he's got a wall around to protect his people and himself, but we can't have a wall around the United States.
Can you walk us through just some of the behind the scenes on how you carried out some of the deportation of the flights from being invoked under the Alien Enemies Act? How did that play out behind the scenes? Can you get a little into the timing with the judge's order?
Look, let me say this. You know, the president, through proclamation, took his authority under Alien Enemies Act and imposed it, which he has the right to do. TDA has been designated terrorist organizations. TDA is an enemy of this country. We know TDA, based on a lot of evidence, are part of the Maduro regime through the military and law enforcement. They've infiltrated them, and look, they've invaded this country to unsettle this country, through whether it's through fentanyl killing thousands of Americans or through the violence they're perpetrating in our cities. The president did the right thing. I stand by it. I thought, and we removed in one day over 200 dangerous people, including MS-13. It was the right thing to see. And I see the video that President Bukele put out. It was a beautiful thing. These people are going to be held accountable.
Is every one of those guys a member of the gang? How do you know it? And why can't they sort that out with a lawyer and a hearing?
Look, we abided by the court's decision. His written order was on 5 illegal aliens. They didn't want to deport him, and we abided by that. By the time the other order came, the plane was already over international waters with a plane full of terrorists and significant public safety threats. And, you know, to turn a plane around over international waters, we're going to refuel over international waters, come back and bring terrorists back to the United States. That's not what this president promised American people. What the president did was exactly the right thing.
So they're all Trinidad, every guy who's on that plane? I'm not familiar with every single case in that plane, but that's my understanding. MS-13 members and TDA members. And let's remember, many of those on the plane were moved through Title VIII, not through the Alien Enemies Act. So, again, it was the right thing to do. That's what the people of this country mandated President Trump deal with the border crisis, deal with illegal immigration, and deal with illegal alien crime, and that's exactly what we did. We removed terrorists. That should be a celebration. We removed terrorists from this country, and I stand by what the president did. I support 100%.
How do you determine whether somebody is a gang member? What criteria do you use?
To various investigations. You know, a lot of the ways we do it, law enforcement sensitive. I'm not going to share all that with you, but you know, whether through social media, through the activities, through their criminal records here and abroad. So you know, this was done a very. The review of this issue was at the highest level I've seen, and I think, again, I stand by everything we did this weekend, and I think the president keeping his promise to the American people. We removed terrorists from the country this weekend. I can't believe any media would question the president's ability to remove terrorists from this country.
But what do you say to those who say what do you say to those who claim you're using a 200-year-old law to circumvent due process?
An old law? Not as old as the Constitution. We still pay attention to that, don't we?
But some would say this is...
How many more terrorists do you plan on deporting to El Salvador?
You know, people are saying, oh, ICE is going to raid schools, ICE is going to raid churches. It's just such crap. We're not going to raid churches, we're not going to raid schools. But however, we're going to be like every other state and local and federal law enforcement agencies. If there's an MS-13 gang member who's going to high school and he's wanted for serious public safety violations, we're going to go in that school and arrest that MS-13 member. If we know he's there right now, he's a public safety threat, we have a warrant, let's go get him. We know where he's at so he doesn't get away. So it's not about raiding schools, it's not about raiding churches, but the left's pushing it, trying, you know, we want to, you know, no one instills fear in the immigrant community is the left, the Democrats, they instill fear. ICE is going to raid schools. And we got kids not going to school because they think their school's going to be raided. It's ridiculous.
What about the shelters in the city? Is that an area you guys are staying away from right now, or do you expect to go into those at some point?
We're going to enforce the law no matter where it is.
Mr. Homan, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Specifically, you know, if Lakin's law doesn't pass, if this lawsuit against the green light law goes nowhere, what are the different kinds of things you would consider doing? What are the other steps of courses of action you can do? And specifically with that pro-Palestinian student from Columbia, on his arrest papers, like what exactly does it say in terms of the charge?
I'm familiar with this exact charge. I can just tell you what my discussions have been with it, is that it's a direct violation of our foreign policy objectives. When you hand out leaflets, incite violence on the college campus, that's illegal. Being in this country with a visa or a resident alien card is a privilege, and you got to follow certain rules. Resident aliens get removed all the time when they commit certain crimes. So he's no different. And he's not going to be the only one. And your first question is, right, look, Pam Bonnie's already filed a lawsuit. If she has to keep filing lawsuits, that's what we're going to do. I'm hoping the voters of New York State see what we're doing. And I'm not asking somebody to vote either way. I can't do that. But I'm saying that I think the voters, look at exactly what ICE is doing, who we're arresting. I think President Trump has a lot of support for what he's doing. The majority of Americans believe in removing criminal threats. And I think New York feels the same way. I don't know if your elected politicians do. I know the ones behind me do. But I'm hoping more and more we educate the American people exactly what we're doing, exactly who we're arresting. I think there's going to be pressure put on New York to do their common sense thing to protect the communities of the state.
So I just want to make sure, just to confirm, you're not familiar with what the arrest charges are.
I have not read the arrest report. I've been traveling, but I'm aware of the arrest. I read why he was arrested, and it's justified what happened to him.
Can you give us clarity about what is happening to the previous terror detainees at Gitmo? Are they being expedited, being returned to their home countries, or are they just being housed with these migrants?
No, they're not being housed together. The process is still the same with the terrorists. We're still in the same facility. The process remains the same for them.
Is President Trump still trying to get that terror detention facility closed down so it's fully migrant detention at Guantanamo?
Not my lane. Not my lane. I'm staying with the immigration enforcement.
Mr. Homan, is the president happy with the number of arrests?
I'm not. The arrests, if you look at the arrests in the interior enforcement, it's about 3 times higher than it was a year ago today. 3 times higher is good, but I'm not satisfied. There's more criminal aliens that need to be arrested, hundreds of thousands. Sanctuary cities are putting roadblocks up. We got leaks. So we need to increase the arrests of illegal aliens, especially those with criminal convictions. So we're going to continue. So 3 times higher is good. The numbers are good. For me, not good enough. We got to get more.
Mr. Homan, what's your message for the sanctuary cities? You just said we're putting up roadblocks. Do you have a message for them for Chicago, for example?
Attorney General Pam Bonnie's going to investigate them. We're going to hold them accountable. Sanctuaries are sanctuary criminals. End of story. They're sanctuary for criminals. Let us in the county jail to arrest the bad guy in the safety and security of the county jail. It's safer for the alien, it's safer for the officer, it's certainly safer for the community. Any sanctuary city that purposely release public safety threats back into public is stupid. I mean, let us arrest the bad guy in the jail, because what the sanctuary cities are seeing, I already see the stories. Non-criminals are being arrested at a higher rate, and they're going to keep being arrested at a higher rate, because we can't arrest that bad guy in the jail. We got to go to the community. When we go in the community, we're going to find the bad guy. When we find the bad guy, he's probably with others that aren't a criminal priority, but they're going to get arrested too. We're not going to tell ICE agents, ignore the oath you took, ignore the laws of immigration enforcement, just arrest a criminal. No, we're taking everybody. So sanctuary cities are going to get exactly what they don't want. More agents in the neighborhoods and more non-criminals being arrested, because they forced us in the community.
Mr. Homan, the Pope this morning had some very harsh words for the...
I got harsh words for the Pope. Pope wants to fix the Catholic Church. I'm saying this as a lifelong Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. I was first communion as a Catholic, confirmation as a Catholic. He ought to fix the Catholic Church and concentrate on his work and leave border enforcement to us. He wants to attack us for securing our border. He's got a wall around the Vatican, does he not? So he's got a wall around to protect his people and himself, but we can't have a wall around the United States. So I wish he'd stick to the Catholic Church and fix that and leave border enforcement to us.
What about your meeting with ICE about making sure that migrants don't get back into the country? How did that go? You said you'd be talking with ICE.
No, it wasn't back in the country. There's a learning curve. I mean, I found out that ICE, some of the people they arrested, they released back in the community, because there's some of the personnel are still acting on the last 4 years of non-enforcement and releasing people for various reasons. That ends. So I've talked to ICE, and the acting director of ICE has sent instructions out, and no one's to be released after we arrest them without the clearance of headquarters. There's going to be a significant medical issue we can't take care of, and of course there'll be some, but the number of releases were unacceptable, and that's been fixed.
Sir.